who's England's best right back. So this is like, people have a lot of different opinions on this because we've got, I'd say, 4 brilliant right backs.
We're very spoilt in right back, especially compared to like left back and stuff.
Yeah.
The depth we have in that position's crazy. Trent, James, Trippier and Walker, surely, isn't it?
Yeah. So they're your 4 that you really are in the question, aren't they? So what would you pick?
For me right now, it's Kyle Walker. And it has been Kyle Walker in my head.
Yeah.
Probably the whole time he's been at City, I'd say he was England's best right back. Even before then, he was probably England's best right back when he was still at Spurs. But obviously we didn't know the potential necessarily then, how long he would go on to be this brilliant player. But I think we've also seen him play sort of in a back three in centre-half. And then obviously he can move and be quite fluid to the right. So I think you get a lot from him being in the team anyway because of his flexibility in the role.
Yeah,
but then as an actual right back, his recovery runs, there's not many people in world football that can do that. I think he might be the only one to do it to that level. You know, he could have a recovery run against Mbappe and you still fancy Kyle Walker every time. So I think he's good going forward.
That, like you say about Mbappe, in terms of them big games, you can't really put any of the other players in that game. If you're going against Mbappe or a really strong, fast left winger, it's hard to not pick Walker.
I think it's funny because I think then the next one, if I was playing a big game like that, the next one I would pick is Trippier. And that's not to say I think he's the second best out of that list. And that's no disrespect to any of them in that list. But I look at someone like Trent, and I like Trent, obviously. But I don't think, and he's won the Champions League and the Premier League. But in those big games, we've seen him have frailties to his game. And I think Trippier would be the next surest one. I don't think I've seen enough of Reece James, really, honestly, because of all the injuries.
Yeah, he just gets injured all the time. So I was thinking that you can't really say Reece James. Like, even after Trippier, I'd probably go Trent, because even though I'm not a fan of Trent's defending, Reece James is a really good all-round right back. And obviously, if he's fit, then yeah. But I haven't seen enough of him.
No, you don't even see it for Chelsea. You don't get more than X amount of games from him a season.
Yeah.
He's still out now. That's why Gusto has been playing. And I think his ceiling's really high. Like I really see what people see in him. I think he's brilliant. But again, he probably works his way down that list for me personally because we've not seen it.
Ball carrying, I think he's probably the best. In terms of like passing and everything, you've got Trent that's far better than the rest. But Reece James has even got a good cross on him as well.
I think, he's good. He's good going forward. He's good coming back. He's strong. He's fast. I think Kyle Walker's got all that as well. And Kyle Walker's now got the experience. You know, he's been playing in that England setup for years. He's won loads of trophies now with City.
Yeah.
The people put him in question now for maybe being potentially the best right back that the Premier League's ever seen.
Yeah,
and even if you say he's not, he's in that list because of all the trophies that he's won now, the multiple league titles.
I think people are actually starting to lean towards him because I think one of the debates I saw was Gary Neville or Walker.
Yeah.
And it used to be just, Neville, he won this, he won that. Yeah. But now Kyle Walker's actually got so much under his belt, people are starting to lean towards Kyle Walker.
Well, that's it, he's now won a treble. Yeah. And even if we just talk about Premier League, he's won, it must be 5 or 6 titles. I don't know how many. It's got to be at least 5 now.
As soon as he's won that treble, I think that's elevated him for me.
And it's elevated a lot of them. But certainly players like him where he's been around at City now for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's done it all now. Like, it was only that Champions League that a lot of them didn't win. And obviously now they've got that. But yeah, it's not really a difficult one for me, that.
Yeah, I'd go Walker as well, yeah.
The only time I wouldn't have him playing there is if for whatever reason he decides to play like 5 back. And I'd argue then you can make the most of maybe playing 2 of you right backs because they're so good. And you maybe have him as the right centre back, like we've seen before, and he maybe puts Trippier to the right of him. Or you could do that, put Trent there. You could put any of them as the actual right back and still play Walker.
I'd probably go Walker and then Trent in my squad if I was picking it, because I wouldn't do Trippier second because I think last season Trippier was probably the best right back in the Prem or something like that, right? I think he's not got any more left in him now. I think that was probably his last standout season.
I agree that he's tailing off now with him being older, but I think what he's shown his level still there from last season. And if I was going to pick for the Euros and Southgate was going to play that system where you maybe do get Walker in as a centre half, I'd probably pick Trippier for this tournament.
I think I'd take him, but I'd take him in case our left backs are short.
Yeah, we could play him there. We've not got that depth at left back, and both of our England's left backs have had problems with injuries.
Yeah.
So I think Trippier gets in on that basis anyway because he's flexible across that back line. But yeah, Kyle Walker for me.
Yeah, Kyle Walker.
Have we agreed on all these so far?
Yeah, it's not great, is it? We're supposed to have a bit of a debate going on, but is Jude Bellingham a future England captain?
It's hard to just say yes or no, but that's the sort of question. I'll go. I think he could be. Yeah, I think it's a difficult one to but if we're going to go yes or no, I'll say yeah. I think because of how young he is, the experience that he'll have by the time that opportunity might arise for him, he'll have so many caps under his belt for England and a lot of experience playing at the highest level. We're talking about someone now playing at a high level for Real Madrid
and performing still.
So for us to have a Real Madrid starter in the England team, it doesn't happen all that often. I know there is, Beckham, Lineker, players that went out there, but you don't see that many Englishmen play for a club
that's
like
why
that.
I actually genuinely think he's probably the next superstar.
Yeah.
Moving out there, Beckham came out, didn't he? He said he didn't even want to leave, but going to a Real Madrid, it kind of elevated him as an England player anyway, didn't it? So, yeah, I agree. The only person I think could challenge him for that is Declan Rice. But from what I see on the pitch at the moment, Bellingham more for me. I think he's just so mature for his age. So if we're saying future England captains, that's when Kane retires or doesn't get in the squad.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely Bellingham just because it's the future. If you were saying like Kane's out now, I'd give it Rice.
I agree, but then, the question is he a future captain? I think yes. But then, you look at the way that these things transpire and I wonder if that he'll ever actually get that opportunity because he's always going to be playing with players more senior than him. Do because of his age? And I don't know if the opportunity will ever arise. Like, for example, if Kane was just out the question now, who gets it? probably Kyle Walker or, maybe gives it to one of the centre halves or Henderson.
Yeah, I did say, Rice would get it if Kane was out now, but because I'm saying Jude Bellingham, I'd just stick with him.
I think if Southgate was still manager, which obviously we know is unlikely after this tournament, I think he's already come out and said, isn't he, that this is going to be his last tournament.
Yeah, I think he's got 2 years left on contract, hasn't he?
So, making the assumption that he was in control, he would never have Jude Bellingham captain. I just don't see it. But
no, probably,
I think
he'd probably put Maguire captain or something.
I'm all for it. But no, I think he has what it takes. So I think he's future England captain material from what we've seen so far.
He's definitely showing it on the pitch for me. So, yeah, Bellingham for me.